Hey guys, this is Scott Horne with the Owner Finance Network. And in this video, we're going to walk through two deal analysis. One for a subject to property we're considering buying, and one is for a all cash property. It's going to probably be a retail sale. And I'm going to walk you through the steps I do on any property before I walk out the door, so I know exactly what it is I'm dealing with before I walk out and see that property. So if you find this video helpful, take a moment and like it. If you got any questions or comment, take a minute and comment below. We'll do our best to answer those. And don't forget to take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, guys, so this first property is a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, over in an area called Grand Prairie. And it was a deal presented to us for analysis to look at and see if we wanted to buy the house. And of course, one of the first things I do is I try to get a copy of the mortgage statement. Now, I don't have that up to show you initially, but I can tell you that what the loan balance is. And in this instance, there was a forbearance amount. A lot of times you don't see this on a mortgage statement because that amount might be put into what's called a HUD partial claim deed of trust. And so, of course, when you do that, you have to do your online searches to see what might be out there or what isn't out there. And we'll try to go through that here briefly. But this is a deal that's fairly decent. It has a good interest rate, 3.875. I know what my principal and interest figure is, which is really my guiding factor. But I also know what my full PITI is, and everything seems to be in line regarding that. You just can't overlook that forbearance amount, however. I also know what this house is worth. So let's just go through a few things on where I start, and we're going to walk you through this. So if I mess up along the way a little bit, forgive me. I'm working off of a Mac, and I am not a Mac. I'm Microsoft. I'm armed and dangerous with my trusty HP 12C old school calculators everybody laughs at me about. But let's just go through this. First thing I do is I pull up the CAD for any county where I might be located. I just want to enter the property address here and pull it up real quick. If I can spell it right and work this thing correctly. So I've got my property. I come and click on it, and it thinks. So I got the right house. Just kind of scrolling through. I'm looking at my square footage. It's 1723 square feet. I like to look at my value histories of what it is. In this case, 300,523, and the declining value over time a little bit, and things of that nature. Now I can click up top and get other information as I need it along the way. Sometimes I look at exemptions. There are none in this case on the property. And of course, I can go to the documents and find things that might be out there. Oftentimes, this will pull up deeds where the property has been transferred periodically. But this gives me an idea who it is, and it tells me who the owner of the property is. And of course, I'm looking for that. Where is it? I got my ownership here. So I can use this in order to look up things on the Tarrant County, in this case, county clerk's website. Down here you can see the deed history where things were recorded, who transferred to whom along the way, with the last one here being done this is from Boris and Chavero. Those are the ones who I'm going to want to look up eventually. So after I do this, one of the things I want to do next is I want to go to the tax assessor's website. I just want to see who is paying taxes on the property and check some things out. So in this case, I just entered Tarrant County Tax Assessor. This is what pops up. I'm going to go to property tax. I'm going to do a property search. I'm going to come up. I'm going to do a by address. I'm going to enter my address real quick. And this appears to be the correct one. And so as I pull it up, taxes are paid. I can click, I kind of get a value over here, that $300,500 where it's taxed now. I see what the estimated taxes were for last year, and they're probably pretty close to the same for 2024 also. I can click on my breakdown and see how it breaks out for county, city, school, etc. And of course, school is always the most expensive. And from there, I'm trying to figure this out exactly. I want to go to my payment history over here. And in this case, I can see that LoanCare has been making the payments, which is off of the mortgage primarily. And you realize you'll learn various company names, like LoanCare is an entity that works with large mortgage servicers and ensuring property taxes get paid along the way, etc. So at least I know who's paying them, what's going on. Oftentimes I want to see the address where statements are getting mailed to here at the property address. That tells me it's not an absentee owner as well. So when I get those things under my hat, I want to go, what's my estimated value of the property? And so, of course, I just entered the address into a Google search, and I'll go to, in this case, maybe a, which site is this? I'd already pulled up. Is this, I either look at a Zillow, a Realtor.com, a Trujillo, a Redfin, something like that along the way. This one confirms the bedrooms and baths and the square footage again, and it gives you an estimated value. Of course, I don't give a whole lot of weight to estimated value online, but it helps you kind of narrow things down a little bit. This is the other side on Trulia, and it shows a 357.3. I can go to my Zillow account here as well and look up the property. And let me just get this back up to the top. Well, I just love Zillow. It's probably my least favorite of the sites to look at. And sometimes it's one of the hardest to navigate. So what I'm going to, well, good Lord, there it goes. I'm just going to re-enter that one more time. Pull this back up. I'm going to click on Zillow Direct. And again, it gives me about the same number. So I get a feel that this property is worth about $350. I know in talking to the residents and seeing some of the pictures that you can see online for this property, that the house is not in bad shape. It's going to need a little bit of paint. I'm anticipating carpeting. I may anticipate appliances, some basic yard cleanup, things of this nature. Anyway, I can get a feel and an estimate if I can look at some pictures of what to anticipate and what to expect. And so going over to my little worksheet that I work off of, I started off with my mortgage information first. And again, I always write this stuff down because it helps me have it in one place to look at it, so I'm not going back and forth to multiple documents as I'm making decisions. I know that in this case, this property needed $26,925 to reinstate the loan. I'm going to estimate in this case that the rehab is about $15,000. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less, but that's a good number just to start with. Along the way, I need to know what my carry costs are. What's my monthly payment going to be? And in this case, because I have the mortgage statement, the monthly payment is $25.40 a month. I am going to expect 4 months of interest carry, because on a small rehab like this is something that we can get accomplished and knocked out in 7 to 14 days and have this house on the market really pretty much from day one. And so this tells me that the cash I need to close and carry this transaction is about $52,100 along the way. And it looks like I can't do good numbers, so if I can figure out where delete is on here. AJ, where's delete on a daggum Apple keypad? Not that we need it, but
top right.
Top right.
No, not that.
The other right, huh? Regardless.
So you can go ahead and just.
I got it. It worked. Anyway, one too many zeros there. So again, I know what my estimated cash to close is. What's my ARV? Now again, I play in the wraparound mortgage world. If you're going to rent this property, you're going to be out of pocket $52,100 probably. And then you can lease it out for X amount of dollars. And guys, what I'm going to tell you is oftentimes your rental payments are going to be quite a bit less than a seller finance payment is out there. So I'm analyzing this as if I'm going to buy the property, get it cleaned up and renovated so I can then take it to market and sell it with seller financing. And I could have marketed this property for a little bit more than the $350,000. I could have maybe put this out there at $360,000, $365,000, maybe $369,900 with a markup. But sometimes if you push the numbers too much, you get the monthly payment out of line for the neighborhood. You can also, when looking at your websites, go to rent.com and just put in the zip code and see what pops up for average rents and see other properties that are available for rent for a home of this nature. And you can see how does that monthly payment correspond to the rental payments, and it helps you massage things a little bit along the way. Now in this instance, I feel confident that when we go market this, we could pick up a $35,000 down payment, and that's going to give me a first lien mortgage of $315,000. I'm going to run my initial interest rate at 9%. Now I'm not running this at 9.5 or 10, and sometimes you can do that based upon the neighborhood you're in and what that looks like overall. But I usually start with a base of 9. That makes my principal and interest number $2,515. I got my taxes off of the tax assessor's website to verify that at $404.87 a month. Estimating insurance, $175. If you don't know how to do that, talk with an insurance carrier. Get a good feel for what those kind of things look at for variations along the way. Brick homes, newer homes, older homes, frame homes, and various dollar values out there. And then I plugged in the loan servicing fee as well. And in this case, this puts the payment around $31.30 a month. And my goal, of course, is to find a good buyer who's got that down payment, who can afford that $3,100 a month payment and can stay there. If I push that payment up too high, does that set them up to fail? And the answer is maybe. But right now in the economy we're in, I feel comfortable at these numbers and they work because that gives me a $1,075 a month positive cash flow. And you know what, guys? Pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. Do I need to push that number up and up and up? The simple answer is no, because you make money in our business, guys, with longevity. So along the way, what I know is this. If I'm able to get this house fixed up and sold within 4 months, I know that I'm going to have a net down payment of $24,500, which you can see up here. And that number comes from taking a 3% commission off of the $350,000 sales price. So I've got $24,500 to apply to my $52,100 up here. And that's either going to be my cash or it's going to be money I borrow from a private lender along the way. Typically in my business, we work with private lenders for this amount. We keep our cash back in reserve. So my net's going to be about $27,600. I'm going to work off of an 8% interest rate. And by applying all of my cash flow to my private lender, I can pay them off in about 29 months. Obviously, if I can sell the house a month quicker, great. I can pay them off in probably 27 months because my dollar values have dropped down a little bit. Now, after I do that, I'm going to be making about $1,075 a month for the next 27.5 years. I like that, and I'm okay with that. Then I go look at my equity equation. So in this case, with an initial $315,000 first lien mortgage, I have the first lien balance of $293,000. I have that forbearance balance of $15,000 and change. That means I have almost no equity in this. $6,000 of total equity. So this is a cash flow equation. This is not an equity play. So when I close this deal, I'm going to put probably a 3-year, 3% prepayment penalty in this so that the buyer does elect to sell the property. I'm covered and can recoup all my dollars out of this transaction. Typically, that doesn't happen in the business, but I just want to make sure I'm going to be protected. So on the surface, is this a bad deal? Absolutely not. Is it an equity play? Nope. It's going to be a straight cash flow play. And you see a lot of these in today's market right now. But making $1,000 a month, a year, that's going to be about $13,000 of profit a year. Every year, you can sit down, do the math, and add it up. It's a lot of money. If you can do this once a month, every month, guys, it adds up to a lot, and it's fairly easy to manage and maintain. Now, one of the last things I want to do is I want to go and do a quick search of the Tarrant County Clerk's Office and just do a search for our seller out there. See, I'm getting good at using this daggum Apple thing because it's backwards from everything I know to do. And I'm going to come down, and in this case, I'm going to click online search. Some sites, guys, you have to register. Others, you don't. I'm going to come to my, oops, did I just delete that? Well, there's my TAD. So I want to research this gentleman's name first. I'm just going to enter it right here. To make things faster, I can click right here, come over to this little down arrow because I don't need to go back to 1900. And I'm going to probably do my search in this instance starting around 2000. That's all I need to do. And so as I pull this up, I can click on the record date a couple of times and it puts it in descending order for me, and I see the deeds of trust that are out here on the property. We have a $15,000 lien on it, which is part of that forbearance, I am assuming, that was put out, which is fine. I have the first lien deed of trust, and if I didn't have the mortgage payment like I had in this case, I would come here and I would check the dates on when this was originally executed, and if you can't find it easily on the first page, and I keep messing things up with this mouse, but you're able to take your deed of trust. I can go to my second page real quick, expand some things, and I get my original loan balance of $305,348. I get my maturity date, so of course I can back into when this thing was executed. I can just go down to the very last page by clicking right here, and it will tell me the date, of course, they signed this. And if this was done 2 years ago, if I don't know what the average interest rate is, I can just go in and say in Google, what was the average 30-year mortgage interest rate in 2021? Boom, it'll give that to you. And so what I do is I take that number, so 306,348, and I will go to an amortization schedule. So there's lots on lines. I use one that's pretty simple to use because I need it to be that way for me. So at 306,348. Now what I know is that the average interest rate in this time was about 4%, and I can just calculate the estimated monthly payment. So without the mortgage statement, I can do a quick calculation, and guys, it was pretty close to the actual mortgage statement that I was provided. That number plus the numbers I gained from the tax assessor's website, as well as just an estimated insurance, tells me what that borrower's monthly payment is. And so if I don't have the statement and the reinstatement amount initially, I'm able to just run a quick estimation because they're going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 months behind minimum. So when I walk in that door to meet these people for the first time, I can estimate they're somewhere between 15 and 20,000 behind in payments. In this case, they were about 27,000 behind. I know what to anticipate and expect in a monthly payment. So as I run through the same formula, I have an estimation of what I'm thinking about. And so from there, I can simply manipulate my numbers a little bit to know how I want to make the offer to buy the property. In other words, am I just going to pay them the reinstatement amount? Is there going to be some walkaway cash maybe? Or maybe a lot more money if there's legit equity in the deal. But when I take an equation like this, I can come down to my amortization schedule, and if their first payment was back in, let's say, June of 2021, you come down June of 2022, June of 2023, you know, here in December or January of 24, they owe about, well, somewhere between 291 and 293. That is all I need to make an educated guess on the property, is to estimate some items. So I go into that meeting with a base knowledge of what's going on. And then I'm going to ask all the questions, of course, with that seller of where they stand, what's going on, do they have any legal documentation, how far behind are they, things of that nature that I need to know to make that final offer. So I hope that helps to give you a little bit of an idea along the way of how you do this. Now I'm going to go back to my deed search just for a moment. And what I'm looking for on here is, I don't see any other lien issues against the property, which is a positive. Now, I would do that exact same thing using the wife's name, and I'd be looking at subdivision name. So if you get a similar name out there where you have lots of different things showing up, I'm going to look at what subdivision is this I would have gotten off of the CAD, and I'm going to marry the subdivision up with the information that I get on the county clerk's website. And it helps me to find out if there are any other mortgages out there, liens out there, things of that nature that I need to be thinking about or asking questions of when I walk in for that first time to meet with that seller. So guys, I hope you found that helpful on how to take a moment to briefly analyze an initial subject to transaction, subject to you obtaining all the final information on that property. So we're going to take time here. I'm going to analyze another property here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is a property we were actually looking at to buy for cash. There's no existing mortgage to take subject to. The sellers wanted cash. So this is really going to be more of a fix and flip type analysis. And in this case, whenever I have this, I'm going to go to my initial sites. In this case, I'm going to go to the Dallas County Appraisal District site and pull up my property address. So you just go through and enter everything in appropriately. I can come down and click on this. You'll notice everything's a little bit different in how you look at this. Now, what I know in this case is...
Hey, Scott. Yeah. Let's try to stay back just a little bit.
is that this is a 2,112 square foot as per CAD. I got my garage and various things of that nature on here. That's all great. But I also notice that this house has an addition that may not be showing up on here. It is been appraised, but I'm thinking this is probably a proper square footage and does include the 300 or 400 square foot addition that's on back of the home. Now, for this particular site, I like to go to the history. And so, of course, I have my seller, the McCains in this case, and of course, they owned it for a very long time. You can scroll down for, gosh, almost 20 years and get a good history. So you can tell where they owned this for a very, very long time frame. And this was an estate purchase in this instance. But once I have all that, I kind of know what's going on. I like to go to, in this case, the tax assessor's website. So I'm going to go to Dallas County Tax Assessor. And I'm going to click right here for my property tax lookup. And Dallas County is pretty friendly, user friendly. Unless you're me and you don't know how to click on the right button. So where is my property tax lookup?
You're too close again.
I don't have it. So I'm going to go here to my property tax. I'm going to scroll down to my property tax lookup. Scroll down again. I'm going to search my property taxes. I'm going to do an address search. And so for the Dallas County site, it pulls up fairly quickly. Click on it. And again, I see this, the prior tax levy over here. I get the market value that they have it being taxed at. I'm seeing the ownership. I don't need a current tax statement, but I like to go to my payment information again. And again, I can see where they paid the taxes for years. Now, in this scenario, I am betting that with that low a tax amount on the property, there's either multiple exemptions along the way, or it is possible that it doesn't include school taxes. And so one thing I would do is I would go to, in this case, to the Richardson Independent School District Tax Office and do the exact same item, and I would determine that those taxes are paid and get that tax amount as well. Now, when I go back to the Dallas County website, you can see down at the bottom they give you a total tax amount. And in Dallas County, they combine everything on the CAD. Most of the CADs don't do that for you. So knowing that this is $5,085 a year in taxes, when you go look at the tax website and it's 22, that tells you that the taxes are paid separately, one check to the county, one to the school district. But anyway, I've got an idea. I know who the owner is. I can see that it's already been noted as an estate. I got my county and school taxes that are separated. Things are being paid properly, so everything's good. There's no out-of-state owner. So now I can find out what is the property worth again. I just do a quick search before I go to my multiple listing searches of the property. So I enter the property in. And I'll just check with Zillow first. Let me click out of that. And Zillow puts us at 411. Great. Maybe I'll scroll down. I'll see what realtor.com says about anything. It tells me my square footage. Things match up. Those are things I'm looking at all the time. I'm also, and Realtor's made some changes. It makes it a little bit more difficult to do some research on it. So sometimes you can go to the other websites. You can see this home here in the picture. That it's not bad, the neighborhood's not bad, but again, you can look at it and you can kind of tell that it hasn't been updated. And in this case, guys, this house hasn't been updated in probably 35 or 40 years inside. When I say it needs everything, it needs everything. I get a value over here. And of course, I can see other homes that may have sold in the area that I scroll through and just look at based on the square footages, and I'm seeing values going up a little bit. And I didn't want to do that. So let me back out. And I don't want to do that either. Oh well. So I'm just going to X out of that completely and go back and look through some of the sale comps. And on a home like this, I'm really not going to trust my online data. I'm going to go to multiple listing, and I want to see what all may be out there. And I want to back up. Do I have some other sites I can search maybe and get any other ideas of value on? Other homes in the area. Here, this house is up to $500,000 on this one site. And you can see how this is a $100,000 swing, so these sites aren't good. So I don't really use it for my final value out there, and this gives it a value of almost $550, which in this instance we believe is getting closer to the value when this house is fully renovated and what we plan to do with it. So now that I know what is on the CAD, who's been paying taxes, I've looked at my sites a little bit, I've got a feel for some things. Sometimes you get lucky and there are multiple pictures of the house online, and interior pictures maybe from a prior sale. Obviously I can go to Google Maps, click on the street view. I can do 360s. I can kind of drive the neighborhood on my Google Maps and get a feel for what things look like. I know this neighborhood already, where this is, so I don't need to do those items right now, and it makes things a little bit easier for me. But I can get some ideas again by scrolling through the homes and what's been going on in the area. From there, I can go back to my CAD and I can get my seller's name, and then I'm going to pull this up on the Dallas County Clerk's website. So you click there. Dallas County is pretty user-friendly also. You click on Public Records Search, and all I gotta do is enter that name in here. And once again, I don't need to go back to 1800, kind of a waste of my time. So just to refine the search a little bit, I'll scroll back. And in this case, I might take it back to let's just go 1995. And all you can see is a deed that pops up. And this is actually a deed that went into our name. So I'm going to take my search and I'm going to go back even further on this and see what else pops up. And that's it. So that just tells me that this guy bought the house a long time ago and nothing else is really popping up on him along the way. I'm going to see if there was a wife involved on title at any point in time, and it simply is not showing me that at this time. So again, this was bought by this gentleman a long time ago. He paid it off a long time ago, and for whatever reason it's just not popping up online. And in this instance I may wind up having a quick title search done just to make sure I'm comfortable. But along the way on this property, we went in and we got our multiple listing comps pulled. And what we believed is when this house is going to be fully renovated, it actually has a value of somewhere around $595,000 and possibly higher than that. Now, just going in the house and doing paint and carpet or paint and flooring only is not going to get you that higher price. That's going to be a lower price. And of course, one thing I do when I get those multiple listing sale comps is I will go in and research each one of those houses one by one. And I want to see what they look like because their pictures are going to be online. And I can get a really good apples to apples comparison of what does house one look like from a renovation perspective, what does the roof look like, exterior paint, new windows, old windows, have they updated the kitchen, do they open the house up? What about the bathrooms? Are they old bathrooms, maybe just updated, have they done any type of enlargement? Things of this nature, but I do those comparisons so I get a really good apples to apples comparison to make an idea to know what we need to do. Now in this case, after we did all that and saw the house, we came up with $80,000 in rehab to do this home, to do it right. Now this was going to be a full gut of the property. I'm going to go out to this property. I'm actually going to measure the property myself and calculate the square footage to make sure that the 2112 is accurate, because it could have an extra 400 square feet that's not showing up on the CAD. And I like to kind of do things myself to make sure I know what I'm dealing with along the way. But this house is going to need everything from kitchen cabinets, countertops, appliances, all flooring, all paint. gutting both bathrooms, redoing it. And in fact, in this scenario, we got very lucky. This was a pier and beam home, and it had lots of closet space that we could take over and work with. So we actually expanded the master bathroom, making it a little bit wider and another 4 feet deeper, allowing us to take the old tub out and to put in a very large shower that will be a sales point. Don't forget, guys, as everybody knows, kitchen and bath sells houses. The second bathroom we're able to also move over, and because it's a pier and beam, from a plumbing perspective, it makes that very easy to do. But we were able to enlarge the master bathroom to make it very usable and more attractive for today's time and for houses that are going to be in this price range. Substantially update and redo the hall bathroom along the way. And those are the kind of things, once you get those done and the kitchen done properly and open things up so it flows better, where you start to build in your value. And by doing those items, we were able to take this house from what might have been a $525 sales price or so to almost a $600,000 sales price. So I do my quick calculation, guys, before I buy this house, knowing what they're asking for it, what my repairs are. I did my tax search and I got my tax dollars. In this case, I calculated it out for 7 months. I knew what my carry cost was because that was going to be interest for 7 months. In this case, I'm running at 8%. If you're borrowing hard money, you may be running that number at 10, 12, 14% with some points added in there as well. But I did all this and I ran it out for 7 months because I know that my construction time on this house is about 90 days. I'm anticipating a 4-month marketing time frame. Now what's great is this neighborhood has an average of 10 days on the market, meaning houses are selling very quickly when they're done right. So there's a good chance I'm able to save some money on my carry cost if we can get in and get out quick enough and get it on market properly. From there, we take our estimated sales price. I backed out what my costs are going to be. I went ahead and put in a 4% commission on this because most people are going to have some type of a marketing fee to their selling agent. We're actually going to have no fees in that instance and only a 3% commission. As a seller, we're going to be paying title insurance. That's about 1% of the sales price. So I just did a quick estimate. And I'm not trying to nail this down to exact numbers because I don't care about that. And so I get my net proceeds from sale. I do a quick math and take away my costs. And my profit in this case can be upwards to $140,000, which I think on a home of this size is absolutely amazing. If I could have made between 50 and 60 on a transaction like this in this time frame for the risk, we would have done the deal. But it worked out very well. So there's a different way to analyze both a subject to property as well as maybe when you're intending to do a fix and flip on. But always remember to get your data down, know what you're looking at. Things such as days on the market, important. How much interest carry do I need to build in? Forget the days of houses, flying off the shelf in a day with 50 offers at one time. Things are adjusting back to normal, and we're seeing the marketplace right now be pushed out to anywhere from 4 to 5 months, sometimes 6 months on sales. Some areas sell quicker, some a little bit slower, but it's getting back to normal a little bit in that instance. So make sure you run your numbers well. I would always rather estimate high, because if I can live with that final net and I'm able to cut my costs and my hold time where I make more money, awesome. That's just icing on the cake at the end of the day. So in this case, this one wound up being a great deal. We hope we get our price for it. And you know what? If not, even if I have to drop it down to $550, we're still going to net $100,000 on this one transaction. But again, to net that, we're actually the general contractor on this. We're hiring all of our subcontractors on it, so we're cutting those costs out. Otherwise, if you hire a GC, you may be paying that GC 10, 15, 20% of your construction costs or more to run that project for you. So guys, I hope you all found this helpful. If you found the video helpful, take a minute and like the video. If you got any comments about it that we can answer, take a minute and comment below. From there, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next time.